inch nails, quarter-ton pickup trucks.
Want to chime into what's happening with your favorite KFAN program?
And 10cc.
Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Do you know where they got the name 10cc, the band?
I do not.
Look it up. Couple 13, 14 past. He's 10 to B. I'm Common, and he's the legendary Mark Rosen.
Good afternoon.
And, I knew better than to listen to you. You basically told this Gopher team had turned a corner, and they were on their way.
You didn't listen to, I never said they had turned the corner.
I'm sorry. I thought you did.
They were, yesterday we were talking, they're double-digit underdogs tonight against a typical Tom Izzo team that's going to be peaking at the right time. And
okay, you didn't.
Former Twin City.
I'm just so used to you.
No, I mean, they have no shot against Michigan State. Not there. The Spartans are always.
They were really good. They are who they are. This might be. I don't. And maybe I don't watch the rankings every year, but this might be rankings wise at this time of the year one of the, because it seems like every time they get into the NCAA they're an 8 or a 9 seed. They just get in on an at-large bid. No, lately, the last I bet 3, 4, 5 years it seems like, or maybe there's been 1 year in there where they weren't, but they're always that 7, 8, 9 seed, and yet they're in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Because
they know how to win tournament time.
How to win basketball
games.
They're
not going back to the Mateen Cleaves or whatever.
And last night they were, they forced turnovers. They played really, their defense was offensively, they play well. The guy at the halftime summed it up beautifully. He was talking about, you don't have to have nil. I mean, it helps. But if you recruit the right guys that blend together, work hard, play the system the right way they're supposed to play it, you can still compete in college basketball. Michigan State's proof of it. They're really
it's
good.
Izzo's system. I mean, again, he's a winner. He's been there forever. And he gets the right players that fit his system, and he lets them be them, and he knows how to coach them up, and he knows how to peak at the right time. Doesn't always work out that way, but come March Madness time, you're right. I mean, there's a team that if you're filling out your bracket, I never want to scratch them off too soon because they just know how to play at that level at the right time in March. Constantly.
Trey Holloman, the kid from Cretin, Izzo came to see him a few times. And I think there were some people that were, I'd watched Trey enough to know that here in Minnesota, he was certainly one of the best players. Right. So talented. Defensively, so good, quick, passing the ball, he's simply brilliant. And he's a good scorer. Yeah. But I think there were a lot of people that I trust, that pay closer attention than I do, still thought it's a big step for a kid like Trey at 6'2" to play in the Big Ten like that. And he didn't start until he's in his junior year now. And in his first 2 years, he was a role player. Yeah. And I when he's playing, I pay attention to him because I watch my boy play against him. I've seen Trey play for Cretin-Durham Hall 8 games, 10 games. And he would always contribute to Michigan, but he'd make a mistake somewhere, and Izzo would pull him out. But he didn't yell at him. Just bring him over, put his arm around his shoulder, and kind of coach him. And now I think I read where he just cracked the starting lineup here in late November, and he's been there ever since. And like last night, he had 12 points, team's leading scorer, and he hit 4 threes in about a 2.5, 3 minute time frame, including 3 in a row, and that basically pulled him away. But that kid can play ball. That's there. I like watching Michigan State play basketball.
I always have.
Me too. Always have.
And it's another indication of just studying the patience that you have to have in an otherwise impatient world of college basketball, where the one and dones and guys are looking at pro contracts, and Izzo doesn't coach up that way. Obviously, guy has guys that will end up going pro, but he understands the big picture, and he goes, well, you're gonna just have to get better by your junior year. You should be better, and having patience and understanding what buttons to push. And now he's part of a really, really good basketball team. Good. And I'm always a Sparty fan this time. In March, it seems like I always am. I like the way that Izzo. I know some people don't like the success that he's had year in and year out, but
Izzo fatigue.
Yeah, you could call it Izzo fatigue.
I don't have it.
I don't either.
I think it's admirable.
Fatigue, but
I had Mike Krzyzewski fatigue a little bit.
Yeah, I get that.
Coach K, I did, but
I get that.
But Izzo, for some reason, maybe it's because I've seen him coach a lot more in the Big Ten, and I've seen his relationship, like when he was he had such admiration for Flip Saunders and the relationship they had, and just the tentacles. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult if you're a Minnesota fan to see the Hollimans of the world go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But when Tom Izzo comes a knocking, you usually answer.
And I might be mistaken, and I'm sure I'll get text messages from people that say, well, you're forgetting this guy, and that guy. I know Magic played at Michigan State, but that was before Izzo was there, right?
Judd Heathcote. Yeah, I watched. I saw him. I think I told you.
But I mean, I know.
saw him play his first
what's
game.
his? Draymond was a Michigan State kid,
Yes.
right? And he must have played under Izzo, I would assume. So, and there might be a couple of other Michigan State grads that played for Izzo that left early and have had resounding success in the NBA. But it seems like most of his guys, it just seems maybe I'm idolizing and pedestalizing Izzo, but it seems like he's got just lunch bucket kind of guys, blue collar guys that work hard, and they're just fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, Cleaves I mentioned, but not gone on to have necessarily other than Magic. I think Greg Kelser was part of that team. I think he played in the NBA for a while. But I might be missing. I'm sure people would remind us players that have gone on to have great success.
Right.
But Draymond is the one that comes to mind, but not many. You're right. I mean, generally speaking, he builds really good programs year in, year out. So, and it's something that, he says all the right things about Ben Johnson, and I think, now the Gophers have some winnable games, and that's what, they have to look at. They shouldn't let last night's loss discourage them. They got Washington at home on Saturday. That's certainly a winnable game. Then they play at Penn State on Tuesday, and they got to string together some wins now and use what they did in the last couple of weeks, that when they were starting to play pretty good basketball, not to let last night's game discourage them too much, and I don't think it will.
I would hope not.
No.
I mean, they could have been discouraged a lot earlier in the year when they were before that 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
They were 0-9 in the Big Ten or 0-10, whatever it was. I mean, they were just awful.
Yeah.
And they were, and they many of those games they were. I'm not going to suggest they were blown out in every one, but there were some where
the Ohio State game.
There were some that were just like you kind of knew all along that they weren't going to find a way to win. But
make free throws. Yep.
Yeah. So I noticed you came in. You're wearing your Twins jacket. You getting excited about spring training and the hometown night?
I had my workout this morning, so I didn't bother changing. So I just happened to wear it. I don't know if excited is the right word. Tempered excitement, I think, only because I'm never going to change not being a baseball fan,
right,
or caring about the Twins. But caring about the Twins doesn't mean I got the blinders on.
Right.
And I think I think a lot of folks who I heard Lavelle on a little bit earlier, I mean, they had Twins Fest this past weekend. And
is Lavelle excited?
I wouldn't necessarily use that word. I mean, I think he's realistic enough right now to say the guys that have been bit by the injury bug, they look great in February. Well, or early February, but they haven't even reported to Fort Myers yet. So when you start talking about Buxton and Correa and Royce Lewis and Joe Ryan and all the guys that were hit with the injury bug last year and really put a damper on this season, right now they're all on track. I think other than one of the relievers, I can't remember who he mentioned, was still, getting closer, but not quite there yet. But yeah, when you have their everyday lineup and they're in the game, they're playing every day, they certainly should be able to compete as they did most of last year for a divisional title. But a lot easier said than done, because it seems like one or two of those guys, not just out for a day or two, they're out for weeks, or they end up with a chronic thing like Correa had with the plantar fasciitis, and then you're hitting on one leg or fielding on one leg, and I don't know. So I mean, I'm honestly. I temper my enthusiasm, and I'm not trying to say, well, yeah, bring on the Dodgers. I mean, it's bring on Cleveland and trying to compete in a division as they did a year ago. I hope they have, some guys that can make it. I was talking beforehand. I know that Lavelle mentioned it this morning. The Walker Jenkins kid who I've had my eye on and talked about, the 19-year-old, and the Twins. This would go against everything the Twins organization has ever done. And even Lavelle said, I wouldn't be surprised if he made the jump from AA, and he'll be on the Twins at some point this year. I mean, when was the last time we had a 19-year-old How old was Mauer? Mauer was kicked around a little bit. He was.
Well, the problem used to be, if my memory is really, really bad, but it used to be they were so concerned about arbitration, eligibility, and free agency that even if young guys were down there tearing it up, they'd say, well, we don't think he's quite ready yet. And it's like, what more does he need to do? He's batting .420. Right. He's hit 26 home runs. He's driven in 108 runs, and he's 4 games into the season. I mean, what more do you want from a guy? But they were always, and I understand why they're doing it, but to me it's like, we also want to bring your best players up and give your team the best chance to win if you can add it. Now, they've been a little better about it, I think, lately. Some of the younger guys have come up a lot sooner, I think, than they used to do it. But you mentioned the Walker kid, and he might end up being terrific. But we've heard the same thing about Royce Lewis. He was the #1 ranked prospect in all of Major League Baseball, not just the Twins. And he has shown us when he is healthy and playing well that he's probably deserving of of that hype. But he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
The reason you try to hype, you're trying to say, well, don't let the hype machine get in the way. Well, the Twins, since they didn't invest in free agency, the only shiny new toy they can throw at the fans is saying, look, we got this hot prospect who we think, and he's not the only prospect. They have a couple pitchers who could make the team and out of spring training, blah blah blah. But Jenkins is a guy that can play left field. He's built like, this, like I said, like a Bryce Harper type of player. And we've seen other teams do this in Major League Baseball. So it would be refreshing. He's got to earn his way up there. He's not going to start the season here. But it would be refreshing for the Twins to say, you know what, we're not waiting any longer. What are you smiling about?
I'm starting to get excited.
Oh, I thought you were going to slam me about something.
No, you're starting to get me excited about this club now.
I mean, he signed.
We got Walker and who? Jenkins?
Walker Jenkins is his name.
Oh, his name is. I thought it was two different guys.
No,
So we got Walker Jenkins, not a guy named Walker and a guy named Jenkins. No, I'm not as excited.
Well, they gave him a $7 million signing bonus. So I mean, he was the 5th overall pick, and he has that aw shucks kind of mentality.
I know why you like him so much.
Why is that?
You watched him a lot, didn't you?
No, I haven't watched him a lot.
Well, you had to because he played for Boston College.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Don't you watch? Isn't Boston?
He's from he went to high school in North Carolina.
He went to Boston College.
By the way, that is such a Minnesota Twins mentality of, we're not going to spend anything in free agency, so we need to promote, hey, we got this 19-year-old that's going to come up from AA and help us out.
I know.
It's just sad, really.
Yeah. Did he play at Boston College?
I don't think he did.
He was a Boston College guy?
I don't think he ever played in college.
Oh, all right.
He was North Carolina Baseball Player of the Year, high school.
I thought he went to Boston.
South Brunswick High School in Southport, North Carolina.
I thought he went to BC. I wanted him to go to BC really bad.
Like Alex Tuck?
Because that's how you knew him, because you all watch a lot of Boston.
I watched Alex Tuck, and I told you they sold way too low on him.
Let's pause as we do, Tennessee. Oh, and I got those giveaways. Where did they go? We got the $100 gift card.
And the Wild tickets. It's a Wild Wednesday.
Let's give away the 5-iron golf $100 gift card. 5-iron golf down in the North Loop. They got the TrackMan technology. I'll be hosting their grand opening a week from today. It will be at February 6th from 5 until 7. We'd like you to RSVP because we think it's going to be packed. So it's free. Even if you RSVP, you're not going to be charged. But if you could just go to 5irongolf.com/Minneapolis. Let them know you're on the way. But that's we're gonna have a lot of fun. And we're gonna have some contests and such like that closest to the pin. But I got a $100 gift card for you if you're the 11th caller at 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320-5326. And Tennessee's got a keyword.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword green at KFAN.com now for a shot of winning. That keyword is green. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Inch Nails, the Chris Hockey Band, the Flaming Armadillos.
Host of the Bad Friends podcast and comedian Andrew Santino is coming to the Pantages Theater in February. Tickets for his newly added February 21st, 9:30 p.m. show are on sale now. For full details, head over to KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Common tend to be Mark Rosen. I don't know how closely you paid attention to Eagles versus Washington on Sunday. But there was a moment in the game where Tom Brady talked about, what's the Foles guy's first name?
Nick
Foles.
Yeah, I watched the whole game.
Well,
I know what you're referring to.
It was bizarre because I'd forgotten that this had happened.
Right in our backyard.
In the big game in which Philadelphia beat New England, after the game, it's just tradition that the two quarterbacks meet at midfield and exchange pleasantries.
Right.
And I'm sure the winner says, "You had a hell of a game. Don't worry, you'll get back here and you move on your way." Well, Philly springs the upset. Foles hadn't even been the starting quarterback to start the year, and apparently I'd forgotten this. Brady did not do the traditional handshake. Correct. He just went to the locker room. He moved on to Tampa Bay. It was another game, and he again refused to go out and greet Nick Foles. He addressed it during the game, and my guess is he felt like he probably needed to at this point in time to try to clear the air, and he basically said, "I don't hate you, Nick. I'm just jealous of you." And I'm thinking to myself,
jealous of Nick Foles?
I can't think he's lying. What he is, he's a poor sport. And he was so crushed by losing that game because he thought he had another big game ring coming. He couldn't believe I just lost to Nick Bleep and Foles.
Right.
That's why. Because you don't, I'm sorry. How many times have you won and the opposing quarterback comes across the field and no matter how tough it is or how Josh Allen, you think he really wanted to go out to midfield?
The last thing he wanted to do.
Do you think he wanted to go out to midfield and shake hands with Pat Mahomes
Again.
And Pat's going back to his, fourth or fifth big game and Josh hasn't been there and he had wanted nothing to do with that.
No.
But guess what?
He did.
He went ahead and did it. I think, because as you said, what would be the reason to be jealous of Nick Foles? It's preposterous.
Well, the thing that I didn't catch the entire statement, but I know he was referring to the Philly special. Remember when they threw the touchdown pass at U.S. Bank Stadium to Nick Foles for a key touchdown in that high-scoring game against the Patriots. I didn't hear him. I thought when he was referring to, I'm just jealous or whatever.
I don't believe it.
I thought he was referring to you completed that touchdown pass. I dropped mine. He had one where
that still would not excuse you to go and do the traditional
not.
So I think he just is using it as an excuse.
Interesting sidebar to that comment is that I saw some quotes from Greg Olsen today, the former number one analyst for Fox.
Well, he's the best analyst in pro football,
and he was referring to the fact that I'm confident that I'm going to be able to call some big games in my future. And, I give him credit for saying anyone in that position would be like, yeah, I have some, I'm not saying the word animosity towards Tom Brady, but it's natural to feel that way. I mean, Brady gets paid, gazillion dollars to go work for Fox, and Greg Olson's worked really hard at his trade post his career, and then all of a sudden gets a swift boot because Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I mean, Belichick suggested today they rename the trophy, Lombardi Trophy, the Brady Trophy.
That's preposterous.
Well, I know it is, but they're not.
Belichick was just having fun, I would hope.
I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was or not. I mean, it's hard to tell with Bill Belichick because he's always so kind of straight laced about everything. But I think that, and I think honestly, I think Brady's gotten a lot better as the year's gone on. I mean, I thought he's had some rough spots. I thought he's really improved, and he's going to be calling the Super Bowl. And I think that's
what'll happen. Well, what'll happen is Greg Olsen will get hired away. He'll either go to CBS or replace Romo because Romo's awful.
I don't disagree with that. Romo drives me crazy.
I think NBC is still in love with Collinsworth, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. But I don't think Collinsworth is going anywhere. And then what do we have for what's the Thursday night? Is it Herb Street? Herb Street does a nice job.
The Thursday night games, yeah.
And Herb Street does a nice job. Yeah. But I don't know how long Herb Street is for that. He's more of a college guy. But
you got Buck and Aikman; they're not going anywhere.
I could see where Olsen would get hired by one of those others.
Well, I would think, yeah. I mean,
because he's not going to replace Brady. Unless Brady decides to quit, because he's got it's a 10-year deal. I think that's 10 years.
I mean, I don't think because he's got part ownership of the Raiders now that he's.
It doesn't seem that it hasn't.
No, it hasn't phased him in the least.
Well, he's still working in the booth, so it's nothing against the rules of the league, apparently.
Correct. No. He just can't attend meetings before the games. But that's about it. But yeah, I saw I shot a Nick Foles up there. Oh my God.
You were just a poor sport.
Oh.
You thought you had that one in the bag. You can't believe you were bested
by Nick Foles.
That's it. It was sort of the same feeling when Tenneby beat me at golf.
Yeah, probably.
I had no interest in going over.
Shake his hand?
And shaking Tenneby. I did. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to. It was like, I just got beat by Tenneby.
Yeah.
The illustrious common man.
How about that?
Who's won, I've won 9 green jackets at my buddy's tournament.
Right.
9-time winner. No one's won more.
You got to shake his hand.
And I got bested.
I still remember you and World's Greatest Iron Guys, number 18 in North Oaks, just were standing next to each other and had a little funny grin on your face.
Well, I couldn't believe it.
Because it was also a struggle for me to finish the 18th.
Yeah. Well, and let's just say this. It wasn't like Tenneby went out and carded. It's not like the day he beat me, he had an experience that was not unlike a PGA player.
Right.
He didn't play particularly well either, but I was.
Well, for me at that time, I played well.
Yeah. I guess.
And 86 at that time was really good for me.
That's very good.
Was?
Yes.
It wasn't like he had an experience like that.
Right.
It's like the first time I ever beat Hartman. I didn't really count it because he, out of nowhere, we were playing at Somerset. He had set it up. He knows everybody.
Golf course
and he had to just blow up holes, and he never has.
Right,
and so I said, well, I got him, but it wasn't like I was brilliant, right?
Gloating about it,
but no, it wasn't like I was brilliant. But it was the next time we played up at Izades, and I ended up shooting a 1/73, and he shot something upper 70. So then I felt like I really did beat him that time. I played really good golf. I didn't just Hartman blew it. It was still a victory.
Shook your hand, I bet.
But he did. But it was the second time that I was delighted about. We'll take our final break. Final segment comes up next here on The Fan.
Come hang with the Common Man at 5 Iron Golf in Minneapolis on February 6th. Join the official, unofficial ambassador for Minnesota Golf at 5 Iron's newest location in North Loop from 5 to 7 p.m. Check out their simulators where you can play iconic courses, enjoy chef-inspired dishes, craft cocktails, and enter to win great prizes in a Closest to the Pin challenge. RSVP now for this free event at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
13-14 past Common Man program. Let's do our final giveaway of the day. It's a Wild Wednesday. Presented by Jim Beam, family made and crafted. And they've got your tickets to see the Wild in action. They'll be playing the Carolina Hurricanes on Feb 6th. Be the 11th caller right now to win a pair of tickets. 1-800-320-5326. That's 1-800-320-5326. If you are the 11th caller, you'll be a winner of tickets, courtesy of the Wild and everybody at the Fan, as well as Jim Beam. You'll be watching tonight. You're excited about this Wolves versus Phoenix game.
Well, I mean, it's yes and no. I mean, they get the Wild playing earlier, which is helpful for fans of both sports. Seeing how they got to kind of pick up the slack now and go in the long haul without Kaprizov, which they've already dealt with this year. The Wolves they had a couple players on the questionable list tonight not of injury, because of illness, Naz Reid and Rob Dillingham. So the other night, Anthony Edwards was also on that questionable list, but of course he played. And I don't know when you hear that, thinking, what has the guy got a stomach bug, or was he just not feeling well? And more times than not, they end up playing, but you don't want to go in shorthanded like that against Phoenix tonight. They got back-to-back at Utah tomorrow night. And a lot of buzz still with the Suns and Jimmy Buckets trying to work out a deal. The Sacramento Kings are involved. San Antonio Spurs are involved. There's all sorts of. Speaking of the devil, I was just talking about Lavelle and my buddy Walker Jenkins. Anyway, there's the Suns have got a lot of other things going on with your guy Jimmy Buckets in terms of how they're going to be able to swing a deal to get him, and with his suspension and knowing full well he's not going back to Miami. So.
Would you trade Julius Randle for Jimmy Buckets?
No. I wouldn't trade anybody for Jimmy Buckets right now. I just don't. I mean, how many chances are you going to give this guy? He's blowing up how many teams now? He's a very talented player. But you have to make sure. I'm not in favor of trading Julius Randle for the right situation. And that, seeing Tim Connolly the other night at the game, I'm thinking, well, who knows how his mind's working. We saw what happened with Cat 4 days before training camp opened. Randall's been playing better of late. I don't know how badly deep down they want to kind of, I'm saying, blow things up a little bit
They
or
need
make a
time to
major
gel.
deal. Well, they don't need time to gel. They've had plenty of time to gel. But, I mean, I think that we saw a demonstration of how good they can be when they smack Denver around on Saturday afternoon, but that's just, that they match up well with that team.
While you're watching Wolves Phoenix, I'll be watching Joker against Bodega Cat. That's the big game tonight.
It is, but you can do both. That's right. You're not going to watch it. It's at 6:30, so that game will be over.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch Bodega Cat.
Bodega Cat, yeah, big game.
It's a big game. Joker against Bodega.
Yeah.
Lavelle In-Studio 3.
Look what the Cat dragged in.
What's going on, me boy?
Well, I stole one of your offices today to write a column, and now I'm mentally fried after hitting the send button. So I'm trying to recover. I figured I'd stop by and see what's going on in here.
Can you tease your column topic? What's it all about?
It's about curling.
Curling?
Seriously? Yeah. The National Curling Championships are this week in Duluth.
Really?
It's the first time it's been in Minnesota since 2008. It's the first time it's been in Duluth since 1999. Yeah, that's one of the points of my column. This place, this has become the state of curling. We should not have to wait 17 years to host an event.
Are you going to be up there?
No.
No.
We have a because we're now in the newspaper for the entire state of Minnesota. We're the Minnesota
I've heard that.
That's correct.
The Duluth Bureau is going to handle
sweet
coverage of the curling championship. So, and the U.S. Olympic curling trials are at the Denny Sanford Center in Sioux Falls in November.
Man. Named after the great Denny Sanford.
Yeah. So I talked to John Schuster, head of Team Schuster, who's been to 5 Olympics and is going for number 6.
Incredible.
I talked to him on Monday. So they're up there, and the Peterson sisters are up there. I guess they both had childbirth in the last 6 months.
Jeez.
And they're back on the sheet, as they like to say.
On the sheet.
As I wrote,
what Tennessee and I would like to see is them back on the fairways, because they invited us to take the two. We've had them in studio on a number of occasions, the Peterson sisters, and they were supposed to take us to North Oaks to play golf.
Really?
Funny. We've never gotten that invitation.
Hold on to that marker, Common.
Yeah.
Hold on to that marker.
I'm going to. Let me ask you a question.
I might have an answer.
If I could, I know this can't happen, but if I were to guarantee you,
here we go,
that if the Twins traded Royce Lewis, they'd get one World Series title without him, would you make that trade?
See, I thought he was going to ask you that question.
Years ago, you said you would not do that. And I said, why? You said, because you thought Royce Lewis would give the Twins multiple opportunities to win the World Series.
I thought you were going to ask Rosie here that if it guaranteed an NBA Finals appearance, would you trade for Jimmy Butler?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like Jimmy Buckets personally. I just don't see how they answer his question. I don't know.
But the way you asked the question.
If I could guarantee you a Twins World Series victory, if we traded Walter Jenkins, would you trade him? Well, would
Walker?
you? Or Walker. That was Walter.
It's Walker.
Walker, would you trade Walker?
He's a very strapping young man.
I mentioned you earlier. I was listening, and I know he's going to play this year.
If I could tell you that, I could read the crystal ball, said the Twins will win a World Series, but the only way they'll win one, and the only way they win it is they have to trade Walker Jenkins. Would you trade him? Because you wouldn't have traded Royce Lewis, you said.
Now, the way I was being a jackass at the time, because
you are?
The way you asked the question, if you can guarantee me a World Series.
You said no, though.
And I don't have to break the law to do it. Yeah, I probably would do it.
You don't have to break the Dodgers?
No, kidding. God, $1.2 billion in deferred contracts.
How about that? That's just wrong.
Unbelievable.
What's that?
I mean, it's just it. I'm sorry, and you're allowed to do it. What the Dodgers have done.
You think they're ruining baseball, don't you?
I'm not a fan of it, but they're the Twins.
It's the teams that aren't spending the money.
Well, I understand that there's
they're the ones ruining baseball.
I enormously disagree with that one. But the Dodgers have a $330 million television contract. The Twins had 58, and are probably going to have 12 this year.
Yeah.
There's their payroll taken care of right there with that 330. So this is good, though. I actually think it's good for baseball because it's going to force owners to the negotiating table about sharing their television revenue by a greater percentage than 45%.
That would be nice if they did that.
And it's probably going to lead to discussions about having some sort of salary floor or salary cap.
How many of those teams now that are pocketing the money, that aren't spending what money they do have, will spend that extra money? They'll just, like, let's say they do decide, okay, we're going to make the revenue sharing a little bit. We're going to give more to that have less. You think those teams are going to reinvest in the team? Guarantee you they won't. They'll put it in the bank. Yeah. Most baseball owners, it appears to me, have no interest in winning. It's a money-making operation.
If it's a money-making operation, how do the Oakland A's exist? They ain't making money.
No.
But now, I have to point this out, though. Now they're spending money because they don't want to get accused of pocketing money, because they signed Luis Severino to a questionable contract, and they gave Brent Rooker, former Twin, an extension.
I saw that.
So they're like, we have to spend some money or it's going to look really bad. Yeah. So,
well,
plus, you know what? They know their franchise value is going up as soon as it moves to Las Vegas. So there it is, my boy.
Yeah. All right.
All right. I already feel better about myself having sat here.
That's good.
So, I just asked AI, did the Oakland A's make money? Yes, the Oakland Athletics make money, but they faced challenges in recent years. In 2023, they had revenue of $241 million. That's a lot of money. So if they had revenue of $241, what do you think the Oakland A's payroll was?
There's
$70 million?
There's an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to spend more than, what was it? The unwritten rule is like if the revenue's $240, then you're supposed to not spend more than $120 or something like that. The A's receive
revenue sharing from Major League Baseball. In 2023, the A's were projected to receive $27 million. The A's received revenue from local media rights. The A's received 67, almost 68 million in local media rights. So with the 27 and the 68, that's over $100 million. And what was their payroll in 2023? 50, 60 million, 70. They're making money. They're all making money. Every team.
No, I think it's barely over 100. I think. And maybe 80 million, 90.
Where are they playing this year?
They're in a negative cycle, too, because now they stink, so fans aren't showing up, so they're not getting any gate revenue. I don't know what their TV deal is.
Where are they playing this year?
Sacramento.
Then they're going to go to Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, says they made over $60 million. Sports Illustrated says they made over $60 million in 2023.
Oh.
60?
Well, they don't put it into payroll. And if they get another $60 million, they'll make 120 because they ain't going to put it in payroll. They never will.
Yeah, it also comes down to good baseball decisions. You don't have to spend the most to win.
No.
Although, when you're the Dodgers and you can afford $1.2 billion in deferred contracts.
Right, but what does help is, like, if you are working on Twins payroll and you put a team together that you go, this team looks really, really good. And then you would kind of hope that ownership would go, let's go ahead and this year up it a little bit. Let's just go ahead and take that stab, and why not? Because they're making money. They've got the money. The Polad's family fortune. And then, you try that for a year or two, and then you go, okay, that didn't work. We'll dial it back down. We'll wait for our prospects to build back up. And when we got another shot, but they never do that.
They took the shot with Correa.
That was it.
Yeah, but
that was $30 million to one dude.
For them, that's
and won a playoff series and took it all off the table.
Yeah.
No, they just stopped. They didn't take it off the table. They just didn't go any farther.
That was the end of it.
And I wrote a column after that year saying, please build on this. I actually wrote that. Everybody thinks, Mr. Pullet could protect it. But I did cajole, ask the family to
you are a charter member of the Polad Pocket Protection.
Where does the ownership situation stand right now as we get closer to spring training in, less than a month, I guess?
I hope we're not being lied to, because all the signals coming out of
Arizona,
One Twins way, is that there's a lot of interest in the team.
I've heard that locally, but it doesn't mean anything.
And they're confident that by the time they get to like a final 3 or 4, they're going to have quality multiple bidders putting in the final offers. So that's all the signals I'm getting from everyone. And they hope to have, as I wrote about this, they hope to have the winning bid identified by opening day. But then there still has to be an extensive vetting process, due diligence, background check, and
then MLB
they have to go
through it.
They have to fly to New York and kiss the rings of everybody on the ownership.
So it's going to take pretty much most of the season probably.
I think there'll be an owner in place by mid-June, at the latest.
All right.
And do you think we'll know who it is before then, though?
Yeah, I think you'll know by April.
Okay.
I think you will.
Do you are you a betting man? I'm not asking to make a bet with me, but would you lay an odds on who it might be? Do you think it'll be the kid, the brothers from the Phoenix, Ishbiya? Is it Ishbiya?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to be the guys?
I mean, that's
pockets.
That's the only one we know for sure that's involved. I've heard rumblings about some private equity mogul out in California, a group out of Colorado. But I don't have any names or corporations tied to that yet, you know.
Well, Rosie and I both heard that we think there might even be a local group that might put something together. Do you think that's possible? You hearing anything like that?
Very much possible.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. And I pointed out, too, I think there'll be a former Twin is a limited partner. When I say limited, it could be 1%.
Right.
Because 5% of $1.7 billion is a whole lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Do you think it's
talking about my son?
Do you think it's Maurer?
It could be other people.
Okay. It could be.
Molitor?
No.
Torrey Hunter?
Perhaps.
Nick Punto?
Torrey's got over 200 employees now.
Yeah.
Does he really?
Yes. Yeah, he's growing that restaurant chain.
Man, good for Torrey.
He's got other businesses, too.
Yeah. Torrey with two eyes. Yeah.
So he was here for Twins Fest. He said he has not been approached about being a limited partner.
All right.
So I speculated that Morneau could be a guy.
Yeah.
So that would cover a local ownership and Canadian involvement as well.
And we have to sign up to watch the games on TV this year.
Well, I think if you have the MLB package already, you get it.
You can.
Yeah.
It's on that a different channel of that, or just if I go to MLB Network, it's obviously not.
They're working on having a local channel to show the games on.
All right.
So it won't be all streaming.
Oh, it better not be. Yeah. I hope not.
But I always get the MLB package, so because I write it off in taxes. But
do you watch a lot of non-Twin games? Are you a big baseball watcher in general that you'll watch other teams or not often?
When I can. I mean, when I was covering the team, you get off a deadline at 11:30, leave the ballpark at midnight. If you get home, then it was time. You just had time to catch the last 3 innings and listen to the dulcet tones of Vince Scully as he was calling Dodger games.
That'd be worth it.
From Chavez Ravine.
So you would watch some. You would use MLB more than just for Twins.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I don't have MLB because I don't have enough interest in teams outside. If the Twins aren't playing it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, think of all the you pay whatever it is. 162 games with all the teams. You could be watching a game from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning.
People who sign up for fantasy baseball. To me, you got to get another hobby. It's a lot.
It's a few years away, but the goal is for MLB to get control of all the television deals and bundle them and sell it for streaming, and that's when they make the big bucks. So that's when they'll sell it to Netflix or something or whatever.
Let me ask you a question.
I've still been told that by people who know the industry more than I do, that Netflix is the only streaming service that's really making money.
It's possible.
They just raise their prices a little bit, but
let me ask you a question. Why did you poach Ben Johnson from the Kitties? What'd you do that for?
Have you called the New York writers about Aaron Glenn? Or Hey, apparently he wanted Chicago. That's what he
can't blame him. Can you blame him? He's got a kid like Caleb Williams to work with. He looks at Caleb Williams and his mouth is watering. He's going, I know Caleb hasn't he obviously didn't do as well as Jaden Daniels. We know that. But my guess is he goes, well, I can take this kid and turn him into a superstar. He probably could have went with Trevor Lawrence if I think Ben kind of had his pick of the litter as far as teams. But I think when you're an offensive coordinator and you look and you go, I can have that quarterback. Because everybody says, whether it's true or not, that Caleb is a generational talent. They're not an offensive coordinator out there that wouldn't want to be, or head coach that wouldn't want to be coaching that kid, right?
I was told of this while I was a beat writer. You can call it back channeling or you can call it tampering. It goes on in professional sports.
Of course it does.
If someone wants to somehow get a message to someone about how they're going to be used or how they're going to fit into their new team, it gets sent to them somehow. And I'm pretty sure that Ben Johnson's attorneys were agents were in contact with the Bears during the end of the season.
Well, that's what was so irritating to Lions fans. They felt that's what he was doing the week leading into the Washington game, and he was spending more time.
Yeah, that's silly because that's what it's been going on for years. They're not distracted.
But
they're not distracted from the game.
People still feel that way.
I don't know. Here's our game plan, guys. We're going to turn the ball over 5 times.
Yeah,
I don't think that.
No, that was not there.
Here's what happens is fans don't understand. They think football is so complicated that if you're going to prepare for a playoff game, you have to do it 24 hours a day for 7 days straight. You can get off, you can be game planning and then go, I'm going to do a 10-minute Zoom interview with the guys with Chicago, or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Hey, yeah, I love it. I got a lot of great plans. Okay, thanks. I'll get back to game plan. It's not that big of a deal. Fans just get bitter, and when the team lost, instead of just, and all fans are like this, they can never just say, well, we got beat, our team blew it. We played badly, other team was great, we got out-coached, we got outplayed, we made mistakes. It has to be something else, and it couldn't be our players. It had to be because the coach, he was distracted by coaches. This is the most preposterous thing about it.
Well, Belichick said it again yesterday. It's pretty simple. He goes, the teams with the best players win. Kind of like,
I
okay.
tend to agree.
I tend to agree that players make coaches look good.
They do. And Belichick
way more than coaches make players look bad.
He said when he rattled off all the players that played for him and going, well, this is why we won. And we had the best players.
Except for KFC, he's different.
Is he?
Yes.
But Ben Johnson's making, $13-16 million for the Bears?
It's
Nice,
a nice spot to be. It is a nice spot.
And he got a great defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen.
Tough division, but it's a nice place to be.
The Growl will be on the prowl next year.
Roar's been restored. The Growl will be on the prowl. The Roar's been restored. The Horn's been reborn, and the Pack is back. I mean,
I can beat
you got
that.
all four. Thanks, Lavelle, for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Seeing you, man.
Rosie, I'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, correct? Or are you on?
You're not coming in tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow.
Is today only Wednesday?
That's Wednesday,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was Thursday today.
Confused. I'll be here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Tenby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 noon. Right here on The Fan. Big Ticket JG are next.
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
Timberwolves superfan KFAN Stan Barrero.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.